Hi, this is Jenny with Compass Travel, and if I've done this right, we are now live on, for our Travel Tuesday event, and I'm so excited about this event tonight. I'm joined first off by my colleague, Steven Johnson. He is our group specialist at group travel specialist at Compass Travel, and we have invited Dawn Elmendorf from the Rocky Mountaineer. She's going to share her presentation on luxury rail travel in North America. And many of you may already be familiar with the Rocky Mountaineer and their Canadian itineraries, but we've asked Dawn to join us and tell us all about their new routes in the Colorado Rockies. I'm super excited about this. So we're going to just pause for a minute here. Stay with us. Dawn's going to share her screen, get her presentation going.
Jenny, it says you disabled me. So
See, I love our, here we go.
Still disabled.
I know. How about now?
Perfect. Thank you.
We even did a practice. So
I know. Yes. Oh. Okay. Bear with me here. It just takes a moment. Oops.
I'm so excited about this one. I'm like, just when I heard the announcement about these new itineraries, I thought this is actually the perfect timing for it.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, can you see everything full screen and everything looks good?
Yep, we're ready to go. Okay, so here's Dawn.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and minimize everybody. So welcome everybody to Rocky Mountaineer. Actually, I'm going to forward past that slide because you know what I look like. That's usually when I'm not seen on camera. So let's get started. First, I want to tell you about Rocky Mountaineer. We are a family-owned company based in Vancouver, British Columbia. And for over 30 years, Rocky Mountaineer has been taking guests from around the world on remarkable journeys through the Canadian Rockies. And now, like Jenny said, we have a new US product I'm going to talk about. But as daylight only train travel, we offer breathtaking views of iconic landscapes during the day. And then we partner with the best hotels at night to ensure a great rest. We've really become known for our spacious and luxurious coaches, our exemplary service, our fresh and flavorful food. And of course, you can't forget about our engaging hosts who share stories of the scenery and sights along the way. So what makes Rocky Mountaineer really unique are a few things. You know, you could drive these areas that I'm going to talk about, be it in Canada or the United States, and it would be absolutely gorgeous. It would be. But you will not be seeing it the way you're going to see it on board Rocky Mountaineer. I mean, it is truly an amazing experience. There are sites that you could see that you can't see, that I'll show you later, that you cannot see by car. They're inaccessible by car. So you really are deep in nature when you're on board Rocky Mountaineer. I mentioned the daylight only train travel, and on this slide, that is what makes it really unique. A few things make Rocky Mountaineer really different than any other company out there. Number one is the daylight only train travel. You are arguably going to some of the prettiest areas of the world, the Canadian Rockies and the Colorado Rockies. You don't want to be sleeping through them, right? You want to see it, and you certainly don't want to be traveling at night. So as I mentioned, we are daylight only train travel. Another thing is our world-class cuisine. I mean, truly world-class cuisine. We win award upon award upon award for our food. What I love about it, everything is locally sourced. So in Canada, it's Alberta beef and Pacific Northwest salmon, wines from the Okanagan Wine Valley. Because, by the way, did I mention everything on board Rocky Mountaineer? When you're on the train, it is all inclusive. That means your meals, which are generally breakfast and lunch because you're off the train by dinner time with that daylight only thing we talked about, Our meals, our snacks, our alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages are included while you are on the train. So what else makes us unique? Every single rail car on board Rocky Mountaineer, every rail car has its own kitchen and culinary team. So I want you to think about that for a minute, because your food is not being made 8-10 cars over and then it's cold by the time you get there. No, it is made right there in your rail car. It's wonderful. Also, the final thing that makes Rocky Mountaineer very unique from anybody else are our hosts on board the train. Our hosts are amazing. They're going to be your new best friends while you're on the train for 2 or 3 days. And what they do, they're going to tell you the history of the area. They're going to tell you the sights of the area. They'll tell you some human interest stories, and they're going to be great animal spotters for you. So it's really fun because they carry walkie-talkies with them. And if anybody on the train spots an animal, they'll yell out, "Bear on the right." And then it's really fun because everybody screams and jumps up and runs and takes a picture of the bear. But that's where it becomes a fun social interaction, because trust me, once that first bear or bald eagle or mountain lion are spotted, everybody starts getting into it. So Rocky Mountaineer puts together these rail packages that are 2 or 3 days long, overnighting in hotels, along with touring. And it makes a complete package. So I am going to talk about that. But what I love about Rocky Mountaineer is that it's like 2 vacations in one. When you're on the train, you're on the train all day. And then when you're off the train, you enjoy some touring as well. You'll understand that in just a minute. But wow, new for 2021, we are so proud to announce our newest route in the United States, traveling from Denver to Moab, 2 unforgettable days featuring the awe-inspiring sights of the Colorado Rockies and the remarkable desert rock formations of Moab. It really is a great itinerary. Now, I do want you to note for 2021, if there's a silver lining to COVID, it's that we put this into high gear. We've always wanted to expand into the US, and we're kind of making plans for it. But silver lining to COVID, we put it into high gear, and we are coming in 2021. That being said, we're only going to be operating a shorter season because it's our inaugural season, 40 departures over 10 weeks. So mid-August to October 23rd. So if you like what you're seeing today, please call Compass Travel right away, because these will sell out. I literally just got off a sales meeting and saw some numbers about a half hour ago, and this is doing very, very well. So we'll be using our single level rail coach in the United States, and I'll explain what that is in just a minute. Now, some of you maybe know Rocky Mountaineer know that in Canada, we have 2 different coaches. We have the single level shown here, and we have the 2 level rail coaches as well. So why aren't we bringing those other coaches into the United States? Well, some of the tunnels here in the US are just too small to handle our 2 level rail coach. So we will be having our single level coach. Here's a view from the interior. So as you can see, nice wide picture windows, domed roof. People like this Silverleaf single level because you are down closer in nature. So if there's a bear down by the train tracks, which a lot of them are because we share the lines with freight trains carry feed flies off freight trains, and animals come looking for food down by the rail tracks. They're going to be right there, a lot closer than if you're sitting up higher. Also nice wide seats, as you can see. And here you dine at your seat. So everything's happening on this rail car. Like I mentioned, it has its own kitchen and culinary team. You are not moving back and forth in between rail cars to going 4 rail cars over to get your food. Your food is made right there in your rail car, plated to your preference, and then brought to you. And you dine at your seat. Your tray table comes down. We do crystal, linen, china. We do, by the way, we can handle any type of dietary request, or I should say most dietary requests. We can't handle kosher, but gluten-free, sodium-free, all that stuff. Just please let Compass Travel know as soon as possible. I mean, at the time of booking, because we can certainly handle it, but if we're surprised about it and you show up, then we might not be able to. So as I mentioned, it's all inclusive when you're on the train, your food, your snacks, your alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages. And I did mention it's really world-class cuisine. I have to show you a picture of my favorite. Can you tell I have a big sweet tooth? I should be showing you the beef short ribs or, the eggs Benedict with salmon, but no, I show you the brownie with a chocolate sauce because that is my favorite. So it will be locally sourced in the US as well. It's going to have a bit of a Southwest flair to it, though, which I think will be really, really fun. Now, you can actually further enhance your onboard experience with our Silverleaf Plus service. Our Silverleaf Plus includes all the benefits of our exceptional Silverleaf service, plus exclusive access to a newly renovated lounge car. Now, this is only available in the US. We don't offer this in Canada. We're going to have a mixologist on board, and if you can believe it, and Stephen, I know that you'll be able to confirm this. You don't need any more food on board Rocky Mountaineer. We feed you and feed you and feed you, but we're going to have more food. So the Silverleaf Plus is about $395 more, and it really is kind of just a place to get additional space both inside and out. We will have very limited space on this on our US routes. So if you're interested, again, contact Compass Travel. As I mentioned, we always overnight in hotels, and we do partner with some of the greatest hotels available to really give you a nice rest. So you're ready, get up, be ready to go on the train again the next day. For Rocky Mountaineer to have a new route, it really had to be in a special location with many of the same features that we have in Western Canada. Incredible scenery, iconic destinations. It had to be all daylight, multi-day journeys that are really best experienced by train. So our new route connects two compelling destinations of Denver, Colorado, and Moab, Utah. And the route really does showcase the scenery, the best scenery in the Southwest United States that has to offer. Here's a map of our route. Now, our route is just the solid red line. I'm going to talk about the route first, and then I'm going to talk about those green dotted lines later. So what the green dotted lines are, there's no rail that goes up to Salt Lake or over to Vegas. This is where the entire package will come together. But I'll talk about that in just a bit. Now, the train, by the way, I'm going to back up. The train does go both ways, Denver to Moab, Moab to Denver. I'm going to talk Denver westbound. I'll tell you where the differences are. You can honestly go either way. It is the same scenery. So it really doesn't matter. There's just one slight difference. So welcome to Denver. If you have not spent time in Denver, I highly recommend it. It's a great city, of course, called the Mile High City because of the altitude. I've got a couple nephews that live there, so I know it pretty well. It really is what I love about it. It's a city of culture and diversity, but it has a nod to the Old West era. So plenty to explore. I recommend a few things. Denver has an amazing art museum called the Denver Art Museum, but it's known as the Dam to the locals. And I do always chuckle when I say this. I chuckle to myself because I'm not an art museum person. I'm not a museum person. I'm going to be honest with you, but they have interactive exhibits for people like me. So if you are not a museum person as well, but you're traveling with one who wants to go, you're saved on this one. Trust me on that. There's also Larimer Square. Now, Larimer Square is the oldest part of Denver. It has a lot of Victorian era buildings. And by the way, Denver was ranked the 4th most walkable city in the US. Now, I don't know who the heck ranks that, but I do know it's very walkable. There's the 16th Street shuttle that goes up and down 16th Street, stopping at every corner, kind of like a hop on, hop off. And of course, you can't talk about Denver without talking about some of the breweries, right? The Denver Trail, home to more than 100 brew pubs. And if you're going to sample some of those fabulous brews of Denver, I recommend going to the Lodo District. Lodo District is short for the Lower Downtown District. Okay, so we've spent some time in Denver. Now we're going to get on the train. We're going to get on the train in Denver, or you can get on Moab, but we're talking Denver. And we're going to get on to the Denver Union Station. We're going to leave around 9 in the morning. And today is Canyon Day. We're going to see a lot of canyons, a lot of interesting sights. As we pass the Continental Divide, we're going to get a glass of sparkling wine and do a toast to that. First site we're going to see, and I'm not going to go over all those sites that are on this map because that would take quite a while, but I am going to show you some of my favorites. So the first site is an engineering marvel that was built in the early 1900s called the Big Ten Curve. And this slowly gains elevation to the Continental Divide. Now, if you know anything about Rocky Mountaineer, you've heard my presentations, we love our engineering marvels, especially when it comes to terrain. In Canada, we have the spiral tunnels, and I'll be darned, they found one in the US that we have as well. So the Big Ten Curve is our engineering marvel. You are going to be passing Gross Reservoir Dam, and this reservoir is a surface of over 440 acres. It actually receives water from the western side of the Continental Divide through the Moffat Tunnel, which I'm going to show you next. And then it flows out of the 340 high foot dam. Okay, so the Moffat Tunnel. The Moffat Tunnel was completed in the 1920s, connecting the Denver area to Utah by tunneling under the Continental Divide. It's a 6.2 mile long tunnel. And this is the reason we can't bring one of the reasons we cannot bring our two-level rail cars into the United States. Remember how I said there's some sites that you can only see on board Rocky Mountaineer. They're inaccessible by car. Gore Dam is one of them. So you can really only see it on board Rocky Mountaineer. I kind of have to take it back and do a caveat. If you're a Class 5 whitewater rafter, you can see it that way too, because it's home to some Class 5 whitewater rafting. I'm a pretty adventurous person. I'm not Class 5 adventurous. So I don't know about you, but I am going to see the Gore Canyon enjoying a glass of wine and some cheese and crackers on board Rocky Mountaineer. I kind of suggest you do the same. So we'll be getting into Glenwood Springs around 5 p.m. So again, you're on the train. We're not getting on and off the train to look at these sites. We're just on the train. And by the way, our train only goes about 30 miles an hour max. So this isn't a speed train. This isn't a commuter train. This is a nice leisurely ride through the nature, through the Colorado Rockies. We joke that it goes at Kodak speed. It goes that slow. It's Kodak speed. You can actually take pictures while you're doing it. So about 30 miles an hour max. You'll get into Glenwood Springs around 5 p.m. Glenwood Springs is a resort city known for really known for its hot springs, but it does have a really neat little downtown area with lots of shops and boutiques and restaurants and bars. What I love about Glenwood Springs is musicians will start playing music, and there'll be markets that pop up. So it really can have kind of a street fair feel to it. That's what I really love about Glenwood Springs. The next day, you'll get up bright and early, and you will be departing Glenwood Springs around 7 a.m., having a wonderful breakfast on board while you're seeing some of these wonderful sites, traveling the 194 miles to Moab. You will be getting into Moab around noon. Now, here's where the difference is between going from Denver to Moab and Moab to Denver. Glenwood Springs to Moab, if you're going westbound, you're departing Glenwood Springs at 7 a.m., getting into Moab at noon, having a wonderful breakfast on board and some snacks and cocktails. Going from Moab to Denver, you will leave Moab at 2 p.m. and have a wonderful dinner on board, 3-course dinner on board Rocky Mountaineer, and get into Glenwood Springs around 7. Again, it's the same scenery either way. It's just a matter of timing. So it's a matter of what your preference is. So on this day, you'll see sites such as Parachute Creek, which is a 15-mile tributary of the Colorado River. Ruby Canyon. You can guess how it got its name, right? The red sandstone cliffs. This is another site that is not accessible by car, only on board Rocky Mountaineer. The LaSalle Mountains and Mount Peel. So the LaSalle Mountains span about 10 miles, and the name dates back to Spanish times with Sierra La Sal, which means salt mountains, and they were the prominent landmark on the old Spanish trail. You'll also see the book cliffs. And I love the book cliffs because they get their name because they actually look like books on a shelf when you're seeing them in a certain way. This is a picture of Mount Garfield, part of the book cliffs, and named after President Garfield, by the way. And the summit provides great views of the Grand Valley. Now, the Grand Valley is actually rich with orchards and vineyards. So a little known fact is the winemaking industry has actually really taken off in the last decade or so in the Grand Valley. Now, you know, it's no Napa, not yet at least, but who knows? Maybe in another decade or two, it might be. And then you'll be arriving into Moab around noon. So welcome to Moab. It's known for its red rock formations and really for being the gateway to some of the most famous national parks like Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. Moab is a town of less than 5,000, but again, you know, being kind of the gateway to the national parks, they've done it upright. So lots of, as you can see, art galleries, shops, restaurants, a really quaint downtown area. So as I mentioned, it's the closest place to Arches National Park and some of the other ones. Arches National Park is home to more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches, such as the massive delicate arch that you may be seeing. This is the Double O Arch that sits in the Devil's Garden, which is just north. And also the Needles. So the Needles form the southeast corner of Canyonlands, and obviously named because of the colorful spirals of the Cedar Mesa sandstone that dominate the area. It's also very close to Dead Horse State Park. And this park covers over 5,000 acres of high desert. And the altitude actually at a Dead Horse can get up to 6,000 feet if you went to the top, the tippy top of the highest point. Okay, so we've been on the train for a couple days, overnighting in Glenwood Springs. And as I mentioned, Rocky Mountaineer is kind of like two vacations in one. So when you're on the train, you don't get on and off destination to destination, but then we offer packages because you do want to see the rest. You do want to see these national parks. So we have two options here. And if you were going eastbound, you just would do these options at the beginning. So, whoops. Okay, so we would go Salt Lake. You can go up to Salt Lake and fly out, or over to Las Vegas and fly out. And how are we going to do this? Well, we'll be doing it. Most people will do it by motor coach. Now, this is going to be like a guided vacation. So you'll have a driver and tour guide with you at all times. And we have many packages. I think we have like 12 packages, anywhere from 4 to 8 day packages. And any of the packages that Compass Travel does quote you will include, of course, the days on board Rocky Mountaineer, the hotel accommodations, all the sightseeing via motor coach, and your national park passes, all the good stuff. I'm not going to go over all 12 packages in the lieu of time, but I did pick one. This one goes to Vegas, but remember, we have some that go to Salt Lake as well. This is probably one of my favorites because you see 4 of the 5 Mighty 5 national parks. And so you're going to be on board Rocky Mountaineer for 2 days, overnighting in Glenwood Springs, spend 2 nights in Moab. And from there, you'll go and you'll see Arches and Dead Horse and Monument Valley and Canyonlands. And then you'll head down to Lake Powell and spend a night at the Lake Powell Resort. And then continue on to the Grand Canyon. Now you'll see the north rim of the Grand Canyon, which is really neat because most people see the south rim. So you get to see the north rim. Head up to Bryce, spend the night there, see Zion, and then continue on to Las Vegas. You can do this by self-drive as well. And of course, self-drive is a car rental. We have several packages, 6 to 7 day self-guided packages. Again, if Compass Travel quotes you this, it's going to include the hotel accommodations. It's going to include the full-size rental car. The one I picked this time goes to Salt Lake, but again, you can go to Vegas. Same thing, 2 days on board Rocky Mountaineer, 2 nights in Moab. where you can just explore it at your own pace. You know, you could go to Arches, spend the entire day there, spend a half day there, go down to Dead Horse, whatever you want, and then drive up to Salt Lake, seeing sights along the way, and flying out of Salt Lake. If you were to drive, just to give you distance wise, if you were to drive straight Moab to Salt Lake, it would be 4 hours, and to Vegas, it would be 6.5, just to kind of give you an idea, but you won't be driving straight through, I can't imagine. So we do know right now that everybody wants peace of mind, and we are offering peace of mind, enhanced flexibility. Now, I know you're going to see January 31st there and say, really? But I kind of have to do it. So you can reserve this until January 31st. And actually that just changed to February 2nd. So you can do it and with a $25 refundable deposit, refundable. Okay. Now come February 1st or 2nd, you're going to require the 20% deposit that we normally require when making a booking. That deposit, that 20% deposit, is refundable for 60 days after you make the payment. So if you make it on January 31st, and then it's going to be refundable until March 30, 31, totally refundable, no questions asked. After that, so say you book this for August and June comes around and you're like, nope, not ready to travel yet. No worries. We can have 2 free date changes, and that can be up to and including the year 2023. So that's pretty great. Remember, we are only operating this from about August 15th to October 23rd in 2021. Come 2022, we're going to be operating from mid-April to mid-October. We keep that mid-April to mid-October timeframe because of our daylight only train travel. If you were to travel on Rocky Mountaineer, you were supposed to travel in 2020 and you couldn't, obviously. The future travel credit can be applied to a US route. So please contact Compass Travel. I know that $25 is a little silly. They just haven't given us updated slides yet on that, but the deposit will be refundable for 60 days after making payment, and 2 free date changes up to and including 2023. So I do want to talk a little bit about Canada, because Steven, better known to me as the group whisperer, because where he goes, people follow. He's an amazing, amazing guide. I'm sure all of you that are on, or many of you that are on, know him and have traveled with him. But if not, he's the one you want to travel with. He's been on Rocky Mountaineer several times, and he has a group going to Canada with us in September. So just really briefly, we have 3 routes in Canada. And if you go with Steven on this group, you're going to get to do 2 of them, which is pretty cool. You'll be doing that solid green line, which is our 3-day route to Jasper. It overnights in Whistler and Quesnel. You'll be getting off in Jasper. That green dotted line, again, no rail in that area. So you'll be doing it by motor coach, heading down to the Lake Louise Banff area, and then taking that first passage to the West route, which is our red route, our 2-day route from Banff back to Vancouver. So that trip is September 10th through the 19th. Contact them. It includes all this stuff, all the touring, all the hotels, all the good stuff. So please contact Compass Travel. You know, they really, really are professionals. I've been working with them for quite some time, and I really just cannot say enough about them. And they're going to tell you where you want to spend the money, and they're going to tell you where you can save some money. And that's what I love about them. They're going to be honest with you about that. So thank you again. I don't know, are we doing any questions, Jenny?
Yes. I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen, and then Stephen and I can jump back into view here.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
Hello. Okay. So Stephen, is there anything you want to add about your group trip?
I just want to add that the 2-day Rocky Mountaineer experience is incredible. Our group is going on a 5-day Rocky Mountaineer experience, the Canadian Rockies, which is even more incredible. But anytime you go on the Rocky Mountaineer, you should go. No matter how you go, it's an amazing luxury sightseeing trip that it'll stay with you forever.
It will. And actually, Steve, that brings up a really good point. Back in the day, pre-COVID times, I would do trade shows many, many weekends. And almost every single trade show I would go to, people would come up to me and say, oh my gosh, Rocky Mountaineer, that's one of the best trips I've ever taken. But I wish I would have had more time on the train, or I wish I would have gone both ways on the train. So they wish they would do what you're doing, Stephen, you know, a whole circle, 5 days on the train.
So that does lead to a question about the North American route. Can travelers, if they choose, turn right around and do a round trip, even though it's the same route?
Absolutely. If they want to, it will be the same route, the same scenery. The one day between Denver and Moab will be a little bit different just because you're getting the dinner on board versus the breakfast on board. But yes, they could certainly do that if they wanted to.
Okay. And so they would fly either into Denver if they're starting that route, or they would fly into Salt Lake or Las Vegas.
Correct.
Okay. And then the return from the opposite direction.
From the opposite way, yeah.
Okay. And then I think someone missed the date that Compass Travel has. What was that date again, Stephen?
September 10th through the 19th.
September 10th.
Yeah.
September 10th of this year, 2021.
Of this year to the 10th to the 19th.
Okay.
And that contact Stephen about that, because that deposit date is coming up quickly on that.
Yep.
Within the next few.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Canadian Rockies, even though our presentation tonight was all about the Colorado Rockies. So, you know, that we're just so excited that it's such a new itinerary. So happy Rocky Mountaineer was able to push forward and get that this year. I think there'll be a lot of excitement. That's kind of the buzz I'm hearing from clients is people want to stay in the US this summer when we're traveling again. So I think this is the perfect thing to do.
Yeah. And honestly, as a travel company, I just heard this on the sales call that I was on before I got on here. And I didn't realize this, but it makes sense. As a travel company, we pretty much pulled off the unthinkable. In an era of a pandemic, we actually were the only ones who've expanded our service and our routes and expanded our company into the United States or into another destination. So we're very proud of that.
One more question here. Are children, is this child friendly? What's kind of the age group that you think would work well with this?
It's a really good question. We don't have a minimum age. So, you know, we're not going to turn anybody away, but I'm going to be honest. And the US, it's not going to be as long as Canada. Canada, there can be some long days, like 8 until 6 at night. So, you know, 10, 12 hours, 10, 11 hours on the train. There's no Wi-Fi. You're going deep in nature, and cell service is questionable at times. So I probably wouldn't recommend for Canada, anybody under the age of 10. There will not be Wi-Fi on the train in the US, but those days will be shorter. You're going to have the 9 to 5 day, and then you're going to have the 5-hour day the next day. So I would say it depends on the child, but I wouldn't recommend anybody too young for that.
Okay. So you have to know your child. Can they sit and pay attention to nature and get out of there
without Wi-Fi?
Exactly, without playing the games. But what a great bonding family trip that could be. And I think the US route is perfect for that introduction to rail travel.
It would be a good multi-generational, I think, for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I've gotten all the questions. If anybody thinks of anything else, give us a call. Either Stephen or I. Call Compass Travel at 815-756-1547, or you can send us an email at info@travelwithcompass.com. Stephen and I both get emails to that account, or if you already know Stephen's email address, then you've already got the hookup. Or I think that's it. Stephen, do you have anything else to add?
Just that, you know, I think one of the regrets people have in their lives is not doing traveling when they could do it. And if you can go on the Rocky Mountaineer, if it's in your budget and in your time, you shouldn't hesitate a minute to make a reservation to go either in Colorado or in Canada. It's an amazing experience.
Great. And Stephen, do you have the info on our website for this trip?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you can visit Compass Travel at www.compass travelwithcompass.com. Sorry, I almost messed that up. That's travelwithcompass.com. And we've got a section on there about our escorted tours that Stephen leads. So please be sure to visit that because he's very anxious for to get traveling again. And this one looks very promising in September. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us, Dawn. This was a great presentation.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having me. I always enjoy working with you all.
Thank you, Dawn, very much.
Take care.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.